I am Amaani Sehgal and I'm the founder of Providentia Books. I am here with Dr. Huma Baqai and I will be asking her questions about the education system in Pakistan. So, you've had a very distinguished career in the education field. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your educational background, please?
Thank you for having me, Amaani. I can say is that I am not representative of the women in Pakistan, but I'm representative of the hope for women in Pakistan. And there are many women like me out there in Pakistan now who are the face of Pakistan, so to say. It has not been easy. And I come from a comparatively privileged background. Despite that, it has not been easy. So every woman who makes it here in Pakistan needs to break the pink ceiling and then the glass ceiling. I've been lucky enough to do both, but it hasn't been easy.
Can you tell me a little bit about the institution that you work at, MITE?
Okay, so MITE is a new institution, it's a new university that has come up. We have a legacy of 35 years of learning and teaching. And now we have a Sindh HEC Chartered University. We have 3 undergraduate verticals, the more popular ones, because this is also private sector and we have to look at financial sustainability. So we have BBA, we have, which is Bachelor's of Business Administration, we have Bachelor's of Computer Sciences, and we have Bachelor's in Fashion and Design. But you know, Mani, what I really want to talk to you about is that why am I here? Because all my life, which is spread over something like 25 years, I was with the public sector education. And then for the last 17 years, I was IBA. IBA is Institute of Business Administration, which is in some ways an island of excellence in Pakistan, especially in Sindh. And it is one of the best institutions that the public sector has. We would receive something like 12,500 applications, and we would take something like 800 or 900 students. If you link it to what has happened to education in Pakistan. So what has gradually happened to education in Pakistan is that public sector education is collapsing. Largely because it's not a priority. The budgetary allocations are very low, in fact, one of the lowest in the region. And then the whole system of state running education institutions is in a state of complete disarray. And that's where I think private sector should come in. So 2 reasons why I wanted to join MITE or build this institution up is, one was, of course, because I had the experience of working at IBA, which is one of the best institutions. I think this excellence must proliferate. And number 2, I think that the only way forward for education in Pakistan is a public-private partnership. We are not churning out graduates that can do anything for themselves or the society for that matter. And that should be a source of worry for any state. And it's a source of worry for me. And then, of course, its impact on the girl child. The girls are more severely impacted than boys. The degrees that we are churning out, most of them are not worth the paper that they're written on. So I think, this is my favorite sentence, that if this country needs one emergency, it's education. We are on 21st century. So perhaps globally, we are preparing graduates for jobs that have not been even created. That is the thrust of education today. So you teach them about critical thinking, you teach them about being innovative, you teach them about being able to bring together everything that they've learned to provide solutions to new problems. That's what education to me is all about.
So you are the rector of a technology institute. How do you encourage women enrollment in an area and field where women worldwide have been discouraged to work in?
Well, the first thing is that I'm amongst very few women rectors. So having a top position in Pakistan for women is almost unheard of. The number of women rectors or women vice chancellors that you have in Pakistan can be counted on the fingers of one hand. So I think that is important, that how the organizers of this university gave me this position. And I think it makes all the difference, because I think we've moved beyond where women should be working. We've moved beyond that. Women in Pakistan are also working. The difference is going to happen when women are in corridors of power and they are on in decision making tables. So I would like to think that I'm on decision making table. And I keep saying that for several years we've invested in grooming our graduates into seeking jobs. So the difference is that this institute is about creating jobs. That is the first thing that we want to do, is that tell them to create jobs rather than seek jobs. So we are rooted in the ethos of design, technology, and entrepreneurship. So that is the thrust, that is the niche, and that is what attracted me to this.
And I know you mentioned before that you came from a very privileged background, but that also came with a set of challenges. How was it, like, what specifically did you face?
I was lucky enough to realize very early in my marriage that this wasn't enough for me. And then the support and the drive to carry on with my studies and the workforce. So I actually was a sit-home mom for 8 years. Didn't need to work, wanted to work. So, and then of course there was discouragement from everywhere, including my own parents, my husband, everybody thought, why? I mean, you have a comfortable life, and why do you want to go to a public sector university and teach? Which neither paid me well nor was very beautiful. I didn't have a nice office. I had a small office, a broken fan when I started working. But I just had this desire to work, and then there was no looking back. And of course, there were also people who helped me. But at the same time, the society is very unaccepting of middle class or an upper middle class women trying to function outside the box. So, education, yes. Job, yes. Careers, no. And I think there's a difference. We allow our women to get educated if they are from a decent background. Will allow them to have a job. A job is a hobby, or it's a 9 to 5 thing. Very few women have the desire to turn their jobs into careers. Unless we inculcate that into our educated women, the turnaround will not happen.
Well, you also have male students at this university. So how do you use your position to maybe inspire those male students to also encourage their female counterparts?
Well, I think the tide is turning. The younger male generation is more receptive of independent women. They now want partners and not subordinates or glorified mates if they are moving into a relationship. More needs to change, but a change is happening. But if you say what I have done, I would always have a class, no matter what I'm teaching. I will have a class on how critical it is for men to understand what women empowerment does to a society, how critically important it is to be civilized, how important it is for a women to feel comfortable in public spaces. These are important things in our part of the world. How it is men who need to be educated about women empowerment and civility for women to have the freedoms that are their rights. It's not like you give them that. And this whole concept of I permit you to do that. So education and economic empowerments are human rights, not conditioned to somebody allowing you to do it. So in South Asia especially, you have this construct where even if you see a successful woman, her pet answer would be, I was able to do this, I was able to achieve this in my life because I had a very supporting husband. I had a very supporting father, which is fine. But for ages, we've said that behind every successful man, there is a woman. I want to keep asking questions as to who's behind a successful woman. So I'd like to think that behind every successful woman is a very secure man. But I would also like to tell people and other people who's listening to this that a successful woman should not have broken relationships behind her, which is sometimes the cost of a woman's ambition and success, especially in patriarchal societies. So I think that needs to change. A woman should not be able to make a choice between uh, exploring her potential, becoming who she can become, and relationships. Shouldn't be sent on a guilt trip if she spends time with herself or for herself or does something for herself. I think those are changes that need, those tweaks and changes that need to happen in the society. And I think that, going back to your question, I think that is happening. I think our younger generation and the youth that is coming up is more attuned to these things. Some are not. But then good thing is that educated women are rejecting such men. You know, they say divorce rates have gone up in South Asia, and it's a Western influence. No, I think women have stopped putting up with nonsense, and they have chosen, and they have the choice now to walk out of toxic relationships. And we are a society in transition. But if you see what is happening in Afghanistan and in Iran, you will realize that women are rejecting oppression in the name of religion. And that is critically important. That is something that needs to be cultivated. Because patriarchy and religion converge to oppress the vulnerable. Women are vulnerable.
What are some issues that you see on a daily basis? How can we start small?
Really? Oh, I'm so glad you asked me that question. Mobility. Women mobility. Safe mobility for women. Safe public spaces for women. Safe working spaces for women. Workspace free of harassment. Not just sexual harassment, power harassment. Her ability, giving her the freedom to step out and go home safely. I think, for example, every time I see a woman on a scooter or a bike on the street, which is rare, it gives me a high, because I see a liberated middle class woman. I see women driving cars all the time, but those are privileged elite women. But when I see a woman on a bike, that is where I see the liberation. That is where I see real women empowerment. So I went to Thar and I saw these women who were driving dumpers. And that was the initiative of a company that was working there to explore coal. And they actually encouraged women dumper drivers. That is where I see empowerment and emancipation. So yeah, I think that women mobility and then putting girls back to school. But at the end of the day, to ensure that girls have the right to birth, they're not eliminated before their birth, have the right to nutrition, and then safe childbirth. We still lose a lot of mothers to childbirth, safe maternity. Those are small things that can be done, but it will have a huge impact. And then girl education.
And lastly, how might you encourage other teenage girls such as me or even teenage boys to take action and spread awareness about education reform?
All the time. The internships at my institute are not just corporate. We encourage them to do social internships as well, largely because this is a private institution. A lot of students that come to me are from very elite backgrounds, and they need to step out of their bubble. They need to experience what is life for an average Pakistani, and it's not pretty. And unless we close this gap, we will not be able to improve the society, because there is an elite capture of even in the policy making here. So at least this new generation, if it rubs shoulders with the real Pakistan, and then they are in positions of power and they rise to leadership positions, I'm hoping change will happen.